welcome to another episode of the Diaspora Dialogue series with LA. I am Dr. Lillian Agbayegbe, your host on this program. We are having conversations with members of the diaspora, telling our stories ourselves. And you know where to find our stories. You can find us on Podcast Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Hey, it's very important for you to like, share, follow, and tell somebody about this podcast. Why are we telling our stories? Because if we don't tell our stories ourselves, somebody else is going to tell the story for us. And usually, when people tell you a story for you, it's not accurate. So we want to tell our stories ourselves. And today, I have the honor of having Modupe Ogunlaja Amstead join me on the program. Modupe Ogunlaja Amstead, you're welcome to Diaspora Dialogue Series with LA.
Thank you so much. It's a blessing to be here.
Amen. I was thinking which of her many hats should I introduce her to, but if you didn't catch that, a blessing to be. That's because Modupe is also a pastor. She's wearing lovely earrings and lovely African outfit. We'll get to know her a little bit more. I know her perfectly well, but I'm going to ask her to introduce herself to our audience. Tell us, who is Modupe Ogunlaja Amstead?
All right. I wear many hats, so I'm gonna try to be as brief as possible. Modupe Ogunlaja Armstead is the last child of five, from born and bred in Lagos. I was ordained a pastor in Christ Chapel International Churches many years ago. I relocated to New York City in 2001. So before I came here, I owned my own business in Nigeria. I have staff that work for me, and also I do a lot of missions, like planting churches and all that before I came here. So I came here in 2001 to New York City, which I love New York City. I'm grateful to be here. And I continue the work of ministry at the Greater Island Cathedral of New York. I am a minister, an ordained minister at the Greater Island Cathedral of New York. I went to several schools. I went to Hunter. I went to Fordham for my graduate, and I'm still in school right now, and I'll be going back in September to school because I just love learning. I just love learning. And also I own my own business with my husband. We have Afrocentric store. Before I came here, I had a degree in fashion and illustration. So I did that over in Nigeria, and I also continue here. So we own our own business here, by the grace of God. And we just relocated to a new location right here in New York.
Awesome, awesome. Great. And so that's it. Modupe wears many hats. But I'm going to go back to one thing you said. You're one of five and you were born and bred in Lagos, Nigeria. So tell me, what was it like when you were growing up? And at any point in time in your growing up days, did you think that you were going to end up in the United States?
Oh, that's a great question. And growing up as the number five, everybody's your senior, so you get to be you don't have a decision, you don't have a voice. You're practically following every instruction apart from your sibling, your aunties, your uncles, and everybody in the community make decisions for you. When I was young, I hated it. But now looking back, I think at the end of the day, it was about love, trying to make sure you don't make the wrong decision. So I really cherish that now as I grow older, because that is something that is really lacking in our community, both here and back home from experience. And I never thought of coming to the US. Actually, my senior sister, God rest her soul, is the one that always wanted to come here. I'm like, okay, if you want to go back. I want to stay. I want to see my dad every time. I want to see all of you every time. And then one several times when we will have guest minister come to church, and they will be like, "You're supposed to be," as some strange people I never spoke to and anything. "You're supposed to be in the U.S." I'm like, I just kept moving, and after the third one, then someone came to me and he said, "Pastor Duque, don't take it wrongly. You have been fighting this. I heard God told me that you should be in the U.S." I look up, I'm like, okay, oh, I hear you. So, but then I started thinking about it. At that time was when you have to go to the US embassy in the morning and fight your way in to get in for it. And I said to God, no, you're gonna have to change the rule if you want me to come. So I just let it go. And then one day I was in one of my friend's house. There was an old newspaper that they use. You know how they set the cupboards, what we call
Mm-hmm.
cupboards, and put the old newspaper on it. And
Mm-hmm.
guess the news that jumped at me, the US embassy changed the rule
Oh
that
my goodness.
you have to like apply and all that, and then they'll call you for interview. I'm like, God, aren't you so amazing? You brought
Mm-hmm.
me here to see this. And then I went and I did apply. I remember the first time I applied, and I went with every paper in the world, and then I was denied.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, God, this is contrary. So I'm just gonna go sit down and face what I needed to do. And then one of my cousins was talking to me and be like, Auntie, it's not a big deal.
Hmm.
Go back.
Hmm.
They'll say no. So this
Hmm.
time I didn't go with anything. I just went with my passport. And by the time they said they took my passport, they said, go sit down. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was when the guy said, "Oh, you're sitting," and said, "Yeah." They said to go. Ah, that means you got it. Oh,
Hmm.
that's how it works. I remember that day. Reverend Jordan was preaching at First Square,
Hmm.
and I'll be singing before it goes in. I'm looking at my time, like, okay, I got to be there. I got to be there. So by the time I finished, went straight there. I did a song, mind you. I didn't tell nobody. I did the song and everything, and then we're going home, myself and my friend, and I said, "Oh, I went to the embassy today." "Oh, you were we just okay, what happened?" "Yeah, I got visa." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know what to do because this time I'm not even prepared. I didn't have anything." So that's how I ended up here. And I remember coming here, and there was a time I said, God, if you want me to be here, you have to pave the way for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, there's some things that I would not do
Mm-hmm.
unless I'm going back home.
Hmm.
And there's several things that God did for me
Mm-hmm.
to show that this is where you needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And looking, it's not rosio.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Big challenges everywhere, but challenges and challenges.
Uh-huh.
But I'm grateful of
Amen.
how far. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. That is so interesting. But let's talk a bit about the challenges and the surprises. So, what was like your biggest challenge, would you say, or the challenge that you're comfortable sharing? And then also, I wanted to get some insight on what was the surprise? Like you are here in this America your sister wanted to come to, this America your friend was excited you got the visa to. You said the policy had to change because it was like a big deal getting the visa and people want to come. But suddenly you are in the US and you're like, is this the America or am I somewhere else? So did you have any moment like that? And what was that about? And what was your challenge? Yes.
The first surprise was when my girl picked up at the airport, and we were coming in, we were hitting potholes. I'm like, potholes? This is not the New York City they showed us on TV, right? And then I remember Denex called me and say, "Welcome to," call the the people are staying with, like, "Welcome to America." I said, "Yes, is it what you expected?" I said, "No, but now I'm here."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember staying with people that did not want you to progress.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to share information on how to
Mm-hmm.
move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big challenge because every other help that I got was from people I never met before that God brought along my path. So that's a big challenge, and that's I try in the best I can to change that for the
Mm-hmm.
people I come across. If I have information, I'm definitely sharing it because it was a big challenge. But the challenge, though, I believe that helped me at the end of the day not to be content.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me to want to know more
Mm-hmm.
and do more. I know that there is still more because there was a time I packed my things and I'm like, okay, I'm going back home.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember someone called me and be like, "You're thinking of going back home. You're gonna miss what God has for you because this is the place for you." I'm like, here we go again. So that was a big challenge for me is having people in a community,
Mm-hmm.
diaspora, I would say African community,
Mm-hmm.
Nigerian community, let me be
Mm-hmm.
precise, being there for you,
Mm-hmm.
especially during that time, was really hard and disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm grateful still.
That's so interesting, and it's so important what you said about information, because I also had some similar experience when I first came, and I was like, "Yep, this isn't working. I'm going back home." And because I came as a graduate student, and someone said to me, change your program, you know, and then somebody who'd been here before me said to me, "Oh, you can't change your program like that. This is you got your whatever, what's this thing called, the student visa for this college and this program, and if you're not doing that college and that program, you just have to go back home." So I was like, "Okay, I'm going to go back home." I wasn't like I was sleeping on the streets in Nigeria. Like, what's the big deal? I'm going to go back home. And then some other person said to me, "Excuse me, you can change your course. You
Mm-hmm.
can change your school. The thing that you just need to do is you still have to be in school. You can't drop out of school on your student visa. You still have
Mm-hmm.
to be in school." I was like, "Are you sure? Because this person has been in the US longer than you that you're telling me this information." And she's like, "I promise you, I'm telling you the truth." And I went to the international students office, which was a resource that I could have gone to. But because you tend to believe the person who's been here before you, I went to the international students office, and they said, "Yeah, sure, you can change. You just have to do A, B, C, D, and this is the way you maintain your student visa." And I was able to change my school,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to. So I started at the Graduate Center as a doctoral student in economics. And then I changed to Hunter College, and I changed to the MPH program in Hunter College. And I was able to change and stay. So it's really important to search for information, because I don't know why they do it, but sometimes the people who've been here before you, just give you the wrong information, and
Mm-hmm.
and don't want you, like you say, to progress, or really just want to be lord over you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely an interesting experience. We talked about the challenges. One of the things we like to talk about is the blessings of the new land. So you were a minister in Nigeria, you had your business, you're employing people in Nigeria. But when you look back, do you see some blessings of the new land? And there's some things that you're like, if in your case, you have this unique case where people were telling you God wanted you to come to the United States. But looking at it now that you'd come in yourself, what would you say were the blessings? Are there some things that you can say categorically, if I hadn't been in the United States, this wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have been able to do this and, or the other. What's the blessings of this new land for you?
I would say that education probably, because I do not believe that if I was in Nigeria, I would have gotten so much accolades and degrees being there. It would have been, no, I don't think I would have gotten it. I won't say would
Because
have.
you had already started working, you already had your business, so
Yes,
you wouldn't have, there wouldn't have been
yes.
any incentive to go back to school.
Yes, yes. I wasn't even thinking about it over there. And but after I got here, the opportunity was there to do it. And I remember going through that even after my business, because I had a spa salon with a lot of people working there and all that. And then the recession came and it hit that so hard that I shut it down. And I was working now independently with another person, and then later started. Then I decided it's time to go back to school, so I moved into my home in the basement where I was working and then going to school and doing all of that. So the opportunity for the school was there. I don't think I would have. And I remember getting the job with the school I was at the time. So I don't think I would have been where I am right now in my education, even though I still work for myself without using it so much. But I'm grateful I wouldn't have gotten it in Nigeria, period.
And not only did you go back to school, though, you also went into a different track. Were you, was that did you know about that practice when you were in Nigeria at that line? Was that something that you,
Not at all. Not at all. Because I remember that in the school when I went, because I started from the basics. I said, okay, if I'm going to go to school here, I could just start from the beginning. And remember going through the GED track. And I remember them coming with different information because you have information. That's something they have here to actually educate you on which area you want to be. And I remember them bringing different professionals to talk to you. And then there's a lot of things they'll help you to do online to see where you align with. And I'm like, oh, this is good. That really opened my eye to different options, and that at the end of the day was the catalyst to the options that I have now. So I am grateful because even when I went to Fordham to do strategic marketing and communication, who would have thought a master's in that? Who would have thought? And one thing though that I'm grateful for, I remember going through that because in Nigeria I suck in math. I was terrible in math. And to the extent that going through the process of the learning, I started teaching math. Who would have thought?
wow,
I
wow.
know. I started teaching math for the people that want to pass it and move. I'm like, woo! And that was what they actually employed me for at the school
Mm.
then to teach math at LaGuardia Community College to teach math. I'm like, that couldn't have been possible
Yeah,
over there.
yeah.
So yes, and I am grateful for that opportunity and the process of having options.
It's very interesting that you say that because I have a sister who has a similar story. And I tell people that my sister could not add two and two to get four to save her life when she was growing up. Like math, no way. She is a CPA today.
Hmm.
Like, how do you go? And she tells her story all the time, but she was actually modeling and she was temping as a bookkeeper in between modeling and acting gigs. and just fell in love with the process, you know. And so that's one of the things about people I've heard people say about the blessings of this new land is how to make something like mathematics, science, STEM attractive and engaging that
Mm-hmm.
people want to go into it. And so it's somebody like you can end up teaching it.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. That's very interesting. We love our new land. We're grateful for the blessings, the opportunities, the doors that it opens for us. But we also, so there's blessings in the new land. But we think about the beauty of the homeland. It's like, so we've left home, but there's something about home that keeps tugging at your heart. You know, what's that thing about home that you miss so much? If you had your way, you will bring it here, or you know, definitely just go home just to get that experience or that feeling. What's that beauty of that homeland that you still hold dear to you, even though you've been here for decades?
I would say the community, right? Is the beauty that I am grateful for the community that I have here. I have the people that I'll call family, even from church and all that. And I got adopted in my neighborhood then by a Puerto Rican mother. I used to knock on her door. She's gone to be with the Lord now. I used to knock on her. She would knock on my door. Have you eaten? I said, no, Mama. I said, okay, this is food. You're too skinny. Get some meat. So, and then I have friends that will just show up and that I made here and be like, Dupsy, do you have food? I'm like, just bring whatever you brought for me. Bring a lot of bag from Costco and all of that. So I am grateful for that. But we had community back home that the relationship, that the village back home that is missing still here. Like I said, I do have some because I remember setting up this place and called some of my boys, like I call them because I knew them when they were little, doing their hair. They grown men now. I called them. They came and took some things off the wall and put things on the wall and do all of that. But if this was in Nigeria, I wouldn't lift a finger.
Mm-hmm.
I said, do this one, do that one, do
Mm-hmm.
that one, do that one. That's something that keeps tugging. And also too, like when you go home, the atmosphere of the people around you, the food around you, the land itself,
Mm-hmm.
the land that is something that you cannot recreate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what drives me back home. Plus also too, we still have our business there.
Mm.
That's what drives me home.
Awesome, awesome. I like that when you say community, that you can have community here, but there's a context, there's a context, you know, to the community at home that is like distinctly different. As you were talking, I was remembering when my father passed, and my best friend from secondary school, we had gone changed school midway, and we had gone different ways, and we had gone to different universities, and we had lost touch, you know. And I was sitting in my house one day, and there she came in. She came in with an overnight bag.
Mm-hmm.
She saw my father's obituary in the newspapers, and she was like, she remembered how close I was to my dad.
Mm.
And we had gone home for the burial, and she knew when we were coming back. And so she came that day, and she came with an overnight bag, and is like, she just knew that she was not going to just come and say hello and go.
Mm-hmm.
You don't find that. You might find, if you're bereaved here, you might find somebody who will come to visit you, you know, but you would hardly find somebody who's already packed their bag and know that they
Mm-hmm.
will come and stay with you because
Mm-hmm.
you're going to need comfort. So that context is different. That's good to hear. We also now want to look at the benefits of integration. Sometimes people we hear people in the Nigeria saying, if you are so concerned about us, come back home, please. Don't be telling us what to do from far away there, you know. And on this side, we hear people saying, oh, go back to where you came from, you know. But there is a benefit for both parties. There is a benefit for Nigeria, and to have its people out here in the diaspora. And there's a benefit for having the diasporans here in a new land. For you, what do you see as the benefit of your being here for both sides of the aisle?
One thing, and that's why I love what I do with the Afrocentric clothing. When people come in to me, one of what we say is we teach and we inspire.
Hmm.
When people come in, even my husband is from Texas, he learns so much about the difference between a direct difference between Ankara that it will and the wax cutting and all that it will educate when people come in. For me, that is one of the things we have to teach people, and a lot of people are more educated now about Africa because we're here.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time when when I came where I was working, people would come in and be like, "Oh, do you know that guy in Jamaica Avenue?" I'm like, "Okay, Africa is the second largest continent." Oh, I'm like, yes. So I don't know where that guy is from. It could be from South Africa, which is south of us. It could be Niger. It could be this. It could be that. Oh, that right there is one of the reasons we are here. Many people are more educated now about who we are because we're in it. And I remember this last Black History Month, I did the sashes for the New York Senate. And the person that came did not know the difference between Ashoke, woven kente, Ankara, mudcloth. And I took time to educate this person. And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to pass this on. Write the name down, write the note, put his notes down, and do it." That's why I love what I do, is so that we can educate people about culture, about what we wear, how we wear. I remember having this person, when people come in, I have a wedding. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what, where? If they say Nigeria, I say you have to get your money together that you're going to pin after. Oh, and this is what you wear. You should not wear this because people will be highly dressed and all that. Ask them
Mm-hmm.
about Ashobi. Oh, there's something called Ashobi, and then they will call. Yes, we have Ashobi. I didn't know about that. That is how we teach people that are not African the culture and how things are done. So that's one of the benefit. And when you talk about the people over there, like what we do here is that we have tailors in Nigeria
Okay.
and Sierra Leone. That a benefit. That's a job creation for people there. Because when I remember when God gave me the vision to get started, somebody said, "Get it for China is cheaper." Then I tell myself, then I will not be telling my story if I get things from China. I'm going to get it from the continent, from Africa. So we tend to take what we have back home to impact the people over there most of the time. So that is the benefit between both worlds.
So this is not just sending money home to people who need money. It's like actually creating, supporting the home economy through employment opportunities because
Mm-hmm.
you have a business here. And the story about, not knowing the difference between Kente Ashoke and is so resonated with me because as I was saying earlier on, I came in as an international student and I belonged to this organization in New York then, Metro International, and it will take international students into the public schools to talk about our home countries. So we had advertised that I was going to come and talk to this public school in New York. I was from Nigeria. I had my green, white, green flag. I had done the display and I done my presentation. And at the end, when it was time for questions, one of the students said to me, "Do you speak Swahili?" And I was like,
Okay.
Swahili?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I am from West Africa. The distance between West Africa and South Africa, there's still East Africa in between us before you get to
Mm-hmm.
South Africa. And I'm like, even in Nigeria, like you said, even in Nigeria, I'm from the Midwest. The
Mm-hmm.
languages, there are over 300 languages in
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria. The language in the Midwest is different from the language in the West, is different from the language in the East,
Mm-hmm.
South, North. So they have this idea that we're a monolithic group. We all speak the same way, we all dress the same way, and not really knowing the difference. And what you said about weddings as well. Someone like, oh my goodness, you kids are all, it's like it's a big deal. No. So we dress really elaborately, pay a lot of attention to it. So that's part of how we do the things. Um, as we're getting ready to round up, I wanted to learn a little bit more about how you're staying connected to, do you stay connected to your Nigerian roots? If so, how do you stay connected to your Nigerian roots here in the diaspora and maybe staying connected to home? I know you said about employment already, but
Yes, I I love language, right? Especially Yoruba language. And it's just so happened that even in my home, I'm the only one so far, even for the people over there in Nigeria, that still speak Ijebu
wow,
fluently too.
wow.
And when I call my aunt, I used to speak with my dad before he passed. When I call my aunt, we will speak Ijebu throughout the conversation. And I love what we have as a culture. So I go home often, not just because of the business, because it's connected. And I look at it as a privilege to be able to have that dual world.
Mhm.
Because it's though I remember one of the a dean of a seminary had an interaction with a student from Liberia. And she said, okay, she called me and she goes, I need to find out from you. How do you do it? I'm like, what? Do you switch? I'm like, yes, I do it fast too.
Mhm, mhm,
So when I'm talking to you, Bishop Elliot,
mhm,
I switch the me that is talking to you.
mhm,
Now,
mhm,
when I'm talking to one of my sister or my brother or my friend, say it must really be hard. I said, no, it's just part of life. We live in two different worlds. And sometimes we interchange this world 6, 7, 8, 10 times a day. Like, wow, I need. So she started talking to me so that she can relate to especially the African students in her school. And that is that we belong to two worlds, and I'm so grateful about it. And we're still connected to the two of them. I'm getting ready to go soon, still connected to both of them because there's a saying that I do say, if you forget where you're coming from, you miss the road of where you're going to.
mhm,
If
mhm,
you look at Google Map, before
mhm,
you start a journey, there's a beginning address. It's there from where you are to where you're
mhm,
going. You should not forget where you are
mhm,
because Google will not take you anywhere. So
mhm.
we're planted in both, and I'm so grateful about that. I hope that answered the question.
It does, it does. Thank you so much. Really been exciting talking to you, learning how you were growing up as the last of five, not thinking that you were going to end up in the US, but hearing all these messages that were delivered to you saying that God had a plan for you to come to the US. Being so prepared for the visa interview and then not getting the visa, only to just casually go and finally get the visa and come in here and seeing the opportunities that you really had to further your education, which was not something you'll have considered because you're already working and making your money in Nigeria, but staying connected to the homeland, going, providing employment opportunities in the homeland, and really being an ambassador here through your store and educating people on the culture, especially with regards to fabrics, and continue your work of ministry. Dupe, before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to share about your diaspora life, diaspora story that we haven't covered so far?
I think one thing that I want to share is what we do in the region. And we have a mission. And last year we were in Sierra Leone, where we did medications, prescription glasses. We did in Nigeria too, but mostly medication and prescription glasses. And that gives me joy because, like I said, you don't forget where you're coming from. And by the grace of God, in November, we'll be heading out to Liberia, where we'll be donating farmland. We'll be donating wells. We'll be doing the medical missions. We'll be going to orphanages and all that. Because at the end of the day, I believe that's the reason why God called me to be here. Most importantly, is to go back
Hmm.
and make a difference. So
Hmm.
that opportunity right there lights my world.
Hmm.
I remember even in Nigeria when we were in Ibadan giving the glasses, I'll never forget this particular lady when she got the prescription glasses. She look up, you see her, and she goes, I can
Hmm.
see far, far, far back. I can read that license plate over there. And I said to myself, if I just pack up right now and go back, I'm good. So then I'm grateful for my husband, the mission that he has, because he's a missionary also. He's been doing it before we got married. And the support to be able to do what we do, and him supporting me even in minute, because he had to move to New York. The
Hmm.
church over there, the sister is pastoring the church there to come here. So I'm grateful for him also about that. So that's all I wanted to say.
Awesome, awesome. Now, I love your earrings. I love your top. I think they come from your store. So if you can tell our listeners, our viewers, where can they find you if they wanted to get things like this and many other things that you have?
All right, we are located on 422 Sunrise Highway, Lynbrook, New York, 11563. That is where we're located. And you can find us MRO Palace, www.mropalace.com. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all the 9 yards.
So you have no excuse. You don't have to be in New York. You can find them online, Emerald Palace. If you're listening, you can't see the picture. She's got on this lovely earring and this lovely printed hair. But guess what? When you go on the website, you will find out, and you'll be able to get something that you like. Dupe, it's been so wonderful having you and joining us today. Any last words for us before we close out?
I just want to encourage people to stay educated. We live right now in a political system that is so full of untrue stories, and it's spilling over everything that we do. Like I remember one person said to me in Manhattan one time, said, "You Africans are the most educated people in the world. Let's not lose that. Find
Hmm.
out fact, know what is going on. Don't just stay stupid and think Facebook is the news or anything like that you hear is the news. Check it out. We are educated people. Let's
Hmm.
stay educated.
We are educated people, let's stay educated. Not everything on the internet is true. I remember somebody showing me something and telling me it was on Google as if that was all they needed to find it really. Anybody can put anything on the internet. So just because it's on the internet doesn't mean that it's true. Listeners, it's been my pleasure to talk to Modupe Ogunlaja. I'm hear our journey from growing up in Nigeria to now being in New York, having her own store, and ministry outreach, planting churches and supporting back in the diaspora, making a difference here where she currently lives. You're listening to this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. You're watching us on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. Like, share the part of the story that resonates with you. Do you have one time where you remember, oh my goodness, this was exactly what that person did to me when I came in and I asked them for help? We want to hear your stories as well. You can always email me, Diaspora Dialogue with la@gmail.com, and I look forward to coming your way another time. Thank you for joining me, Dupe, and thank you all for listening. Iṣẹ́, iṣẹ́. Má jẹ́ dandan ju yakuya.